Oseo.
Oseo.
It's a Cherokee greeting, and always wave the great feather for the good of it. And also Namaste as a Hindu greeting, and Jai Ganesha. My theme today is the elephant divinity of India, known as Ganesha. And to get us going, Claudia here, who is very familiar with the music of India, is going to step in here and give us a little chant and a little song of Ganesha. So, Claudia, you want to come over here and step in? Move over.
This is by MC Yogi, who was a young man taken to India by his father, coming back with the power of Ganesha, the elephant's unstoppable power, and created this song. And after doing it with children, I want to present a part of that today. Ganesh is fresh. Ganesh is so fresh, chillin' on his throne, surrounded by incense, fruit, and gold. With a heap of sweets piled in his bowl, he guards the gates and protects the threshold. When you're blessed by Ganesh, then you can travel on a sacred journey to an inner temple. He paves the path that leads to your soul, and he's known for removing all obstacles. Now, some may think it's illogical, a myth, or it's just philosophical. But Ganesh makes everything possible because elephant power's unstoppable. Jai Ganesha, 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 Jai Ganesha.
Jai Ganesha. Oh, thank you, Claudia, for that. That's a good way to introduce this. Claudia and I have been in the classrooms of the elementary schools where we have very much, introduced and activated Ganesha, and the students, the young students, they are very amenable to Ganesha, I would say, and of the many who have gone on to grow up into adults, I'm sure that Ganesha is always with them. And if you go up here to this is my painting here of Ganesha, and this is a painting that I had in the classrooms in the school in Nevada, in the classroom for a long time, Vivian Old's classroom, and very much I introduced students there to things of Ganesha. For one, you see his belly button is called Nabi. So I tell the students, when you're taking a test, stick your finger there into your Nabi, and that'll help you out with the test. So I'm sure that they have done all of that. The elephant is native to India, indigenous. I don't know how many millions of years, but of course any of these animals have been on the earth for millions of years, and I'm sure that elephant has been who knows how many million of years in India. And humans, maybe not quite as many millions of years, but humans have been in India for a long time with the elephant, and certainly have grown up multi-generations with this wonderful, wonderful creature. And of course, from that, what we're calling here a divinity has come out of that. So just to start off with the elephant power, you can come down here to this piece here. This is an antique hand-carved wood of the elephant from India here. And the elephant, the name of the elephant, Gaja. Ja means origin, and Ga means the summit, the peak, the head, like that, and is figured as the origin of existence. Existence comes into being with the elephant is what the Ja means of it. And from the elephant comes the Om mantra that is here. This is the Sanskrit word, symbol, that many people will recognize for the Om mantra. And from the Om mantra come the ancient Vedas, the law of the universe. So from the Vedas then comes the universe. So all of that. And all of that also here, I have this little ancient figure for Shiva. Shiva is also figured in this as Mantanagi. Mantanagi means the elephant power. And the elephant power means the time, the era or something like that of the elephant ruling, we use that, calm, peace, and prosperity. All signifies the elephant time in the world. And we go right down here below it, we saw Lakshmi last week. Lakshmi and elephant goes together. And often it's actually titled Sri Lakshmi Gaja. She often has elephants on each side of her here. So she's significant in all of that. And if you go all the way over there, there's a tapestry of Ganesha. And there's a soft elephant there as the guardian. He's the guardian of gateways and beginnings and so forth. And I'll do a little piece with that. I can kind of focus on that. Ganesha traditionally in his icon has 4 arms, 4 hands, and is holding symbols. Generally they're always the same, but they're not always the same. It varies, in other words. And this will give you an idea. I'm going to read this. Sri Ganesha. He is the embodiment of Omkara. Omkara means the letter symbol of the Om. That's the Omkara. His tooth or his tusk is symbolic of tearing ignorance to pieces. He carries the conch shell, which is articulate sound, and the club that is of inarticulate sound. The disc, chakra, is the support of vision, and the lotus is that of transcendental. Ganesha is the first inaugurator of knowledge and wisdom. His face, for which his name Gajanana, elephant face, is the explicit expression of the Vedas. His tusk is a symbol of sound pointing to the highest knowledge. His trunk, Sunda, signifies the mantra of Omkara. His eyes are spiritual and worldly experience. His broad forehead is an exponent of his knowledge of both spirit and nature. Ganesha, who is eternal and enlightened in his own intrinsic nature, also has his Sakti power of making the impossible possible, which is seated in his navel, Navi. Thus, Ganesha is the personification of perfect harmony of law and of rhythm. So, this gives you a pretty good overall idea of the many people over many generations, how we all feel about Ganesha. And if you come over here to this figure. This is a watercolor I did over 50 years ago, and this actually is of my personal one-to-one encounter of Ganesha, which in India is called darshan. So this is my darshan of Ganesha. Whatever we could say, you know, he's a spirit or an embodier like that. Also, we can come back here. Ganesha, the name Ganesha is, you know, Ganesha. It basically means, you know, Gana chief. The Ganas are the dust motes of happiness and good feelings, you know, that create the ambience around the presence of Ganesha. And that ambient feeling like that is what always accompanies Ganesha. And here in my painting you see his joyful manner here. And mentioning the name of elephant, Gaja, Ga as the summit, most of his icons have a crown or something. Here in my painting, the summit means the mountains. In India, where there are mountains, the summit of the mountains, you know, the top, the peaks of the mountains, can only have nothing built on them except maybe a temple or a shrine. Humans do not live on mountaintops in India here. So that's always a part of Ganesha. Many of them, you know, does show that he has that crown for that mountaintop, and that's the way I have figured it. Here in my painting, these are Rudrakasha beads here. They're also called the tears of Shiva. Rudra is the early name for what has become Shiva. And so these are seed beads worn as a necklace or an amulet like that. And so that's very, very much a part of this culture here. And there's all kind of beneficent things figured with that. Coming over here with this drawing, having mentioned the Sakti, this is my drawing of the Sakti of Ganesha called Sakti Ganapati. Sakti Ganapati. And the Saktis, the main ones are three. There's, you know, Isha is the goodwill Sakti, and Kriya Sakti, the Sakti of activity and action, that's her, and the Sakti of knowledge, Jnana Sakti. So this is the Sakti of Ganesha, which is the female power giving Ganesha his creative activity. Otherwise he would just be inert. And I feel the same way about myself as an artist here. So here's my drawing of it. Here, can you see this one I have of our Vice President of the United States, you know, Kamala. Even though the election has been decided in the favor of Mahesha, the opponent, still where she has stood, that is, you know, the pada. That is the pada. Her footprint, her track is still there. She has risen and brought that up. And so we want to remember that for her here. And while we're right here, here's an antique carving from India, wonderful carving of an elephant with the Omkara. And down here, here is the visage of Ganesha, and right along with him is Sri Lakshmi. The saying goes, where Sri Lakshmi is the elephant. When we say that, we go all the way over here to the other side here, I've showed before. This is a home shrine, and inside the two figures seated in there is Sri Lakshmi and Ganesha. And I've also put two murtis of them sitting on the outside. Right above them This is a symbol in another script in India, southern India. This is the same as the Omkara. And some of the images of Ganesha will have his trunk curled resembling this configuration. So that is another symbol that accompanies Ganesha, or the culture of Ganesha in particular. Now we have, this murti here. Murti is the name for any of these sacred images, be they pictures or figures like that. And so this, looks pretty good, where he's actually holding all of these symbols that are all meaningful. They're all attributes of him. And right below him, here's a mouse. His vahana, or vehicle, is a mouse. So here's the biggest animal, and here's one of the littlest animals there, and they harmonize together. They say all kinds. This is called mashika. Mashika kind of burrows around figuratively, in your mind, and finds out things in your mind like that. And here next to it, this is from India. This is a stone carving. You can see the lattice work of it. Inside there is another elephant that has been fully carved in the round. It's an absolute mystery to me how anybody could do that here. And if we go over here to this one, I want to put a light on this one. Here. Since we're in the realm of elephants, I really want to show this antique here. I'm not sure how old it is. Certainly looks very, very old. The unusual and important things about it, I'll tell you. First of all, it's been cast in silver, instead of most of these are cast in brass or bronze. And this one is cast in silver, and it has been venerated for a long period of time by somebody. Right in front of it, you see this is a spoon for puja. Puja is to worship. And you have a little cup of special water, and you dip the spoon into water and pour it on your murti, on your figure here. And a pinch of kumkum powder, that's a red vermilion powder. And this piece has been caked, with this powder. And what this piece is called Gajaraja. The elephant is a symbol of royalty also in India. And the figure who is riding him is Indra. Oh, this is really, really particular. Indra is the Vedic god of the Vedic people. It's pretty much called, the god of heaven, the king of heaven, or anything like that. The Vedic people are much earlier than the Greeks of the Mediterranean. The Greeks' chief god, they call it that, is Zeus. Zeus looks so similar to Indra, and Indra being earlier, I might think that the Greeks fashioned their Zeus after Indra. So Indra was very much of the Vedic people and did not have much of a place in the Hinduism. That sort of is an amalgamation growing out of that, maybe starting around 2,000 years ago, because eventually Parjanya replaced him. That is literally, cloud god, or the god of rain, replaced Indra. So this piece, well, I would think it would be around 300 or 400 years old, is unusual because somebody may have commissioned this, and in silver, to continue their interest or relationship with an ancient deity known as Indra to the early Indians, the Vedic Indians here. And I think I had, in this piece up here, This is also very interesting because this is a Tibetan thangka, but it's not Buddhist. You can see that this is a thangka of Ganesha, very, very, very finely painted and wonderfully encased in this embroidery here. So very, very unusual piece that I have found in here. All of this is really to continue with our theme beginning in India and the inspiration of Kamala Devi Harris in her candidacy for the president of this country, which even for as far as it's gone, you know, she is transplanted from India and she has brought something of that of herself here into Turtle Island. So that still is with us and continuing with us. You know, here is Ganesha and all of the exuberance and ambience, all that is the presence of Ganesha, which my own little watercolor and my painting is the evidence of my feelings about Ganesha here. And I have one more piece here, and this is a poem actually by Mary Oliver, which I have titled Ganesha. I was walking by. He was standing there. It was full morning, so the heat was heavy on his sand-colored head and his large feet. I squatted beside him at the edge of the path. He didn't move. I began to talk. I talked about summer and about time, the pleasures of eating, the terrors of the night, about this cup we call life, about happiness and how good it feels, the heat of the sun between the shoulder blades. He looked neither up nor down, which didn't necessarily mean he was either afraid or asleep. I felt his energy stored under his tongue, perhaps, and behind his bulging eyes. I talked about how the world seems to me 5 feet tall, and the blue sky all around my head. I said, I wonder how it seemed to him down there, intimate with this earth and its dust. He might have been Buddha, did not move, blink, or frown. Not a tear fell from those gold-rimmed eyes as the refined anguish of language passed over him. As though the life of everything were in it and to live a long time. Jai Ganesha,
Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha.
Aho.